all, myself Professor Archana from Department of Petroleum Engineering, IIT ISM Dhanbad. We are continuing in course of Fundamental of a Carbon Capture, Utilization and Storage. In today's discussion, I am going to talk about absorption tower calculation. In the last class, we have talked about absorption general design approach. So moving to this topic, today we will be seeing how the tower calculation will be done. So understanding the absorption and stripping, we get the idea. Absorption, or we call this scrubbing, is a removal of a component that we call the solute or absorbate from the gas stream. How? Via uptake by a non-volatile liquid that we call the solvent or absorbent. And when we mention the desorption or stripping is the removal of a component from a liquid stream via vaporization or uptake by an insoluble gas stream. So this absorption and stripping are opposite unit operation and are often used together as a cycle. So both absorption and stripping can be operated as equilibrium stage processes using tray column or more commonly using the packed column. So this is your absorber plus stripper. So this is the absorber and this is stripper. So from the absorber what we are getting the treated gas, which is less, because here we are talking about CO2 capture. So taking that concern, so the treated gas is not having the CO2, or we are getting this reach out, which is getting regenerated in the stripper side, and then we are getting the pure CO2, and from this stripper we are getting this lean solution or solvent, which is getting again entered into the tower. So this is our flow complete system. So you do have a absorber, then we do have a reboiler, then we do have a condenser, and then we do have a heat exchanger. So this is the all unit together. It comprises the absorber plus stripping operation. So under that, physical absorption relies on solubility of a particular gas in a liquid. So this solubility is often very quite low. Consequently, a relatively large amount of a liquid solvent is needed to obtain the required separation. So this liquid solvent containing the solute is typically regenerated by heating or stripping to drive the solute back out. Because of the low solubility and large solvent requirement in the physical absorption, we do proceed also with the chemical absorption, which is very commonly used. So there is some example of your physical absorption like CO2 and water, CO and water, H2S and water. So there is a couple of the example where we are using the physical absorption. Along with that, because there is a large requirement of a solvent is there in the physical absorption, it is a preferred for the chemical absorption also, and it relies on reaction of a particular gas with a reagent in a liquid. So this absorption can often be quite high. Consequently, a smaller amount of a liquid solvent or reagent is needed to obtain required separation. However, the reagent or solvent may be relatively expensive, and it is often desirable to regenerate whenever it is possible. So absorption, how to perform the process, we have get it. The best option is to contact the gas stream with the solvent stream in a countercurrent pattern. From the process standpoint, process separation by absorption requires a certain number of ideal stages in series, which we are going to calculate today in the moving further. As far as the equipment is concerned, an absorption process is carried out in column, in which either a tray column or packed column is used. We refer X and Y as a mole fraction, and flow rate, liquid flow rate and vapor flow rate are not constant along the column, but this is not always the case. For the dilute solution, we do take flow rate of liquid and vapor are constant. So talking about this problem of your absorption and stripping calculation point of view, number of stages calculation. So the principal difference in handling absorption and stripping, this is absorption So the principal difference in handling absorption and stripping, if we do compare with the distillation, is how we represent the equilibria, that is a equilibrium curve, and mass balances, that is nothing but the operating line. So yesterday we have seen this equilibrium and operating line equation. So in distillation, the liquid and vapor stream were assumed to be remain constant under constant molar flow. But in absorption, we have removal of a solute from the gas stream and uptake by the solvent liquid stream. So this total liquid and gas stream amount or flow rate can change over a period of a time. So due to absorption, at the bottom of the flow rate are larger if we do compare at the top. So from the top you do have a solvent coming, which we call that lean solvent. So this lean solvent is not having the solid in it, but once it moves from plate to plate and finally reach at the bottom, and once it is coming out from this bottom, so there is a difference in the flow rate if we compare the solvent at the top and the solvent at the bottom. So at the bottom the flow rate are larger than at the top. So it is impossible to obtain an operating line which is a straight line. So if we use mole fraction of solute and assume that gas and liquid stream amount or flow rate remains constant, significant error can result if solid concentration in inlet gas stream is greater than about 1%. So this is very important point. Moving on, if we can set up our equilibrium curve and operating line to account for this change in overall gas and liquid flow rate, we can use McCabe-Thiele method to solve the absorption and stripping problem. So what we do assume here, so this carrier gas is insoluble or it has a very low solubility like N2 in water. So this the carrier gas is what? The part of the gas mixture that is not dissolved in the solvent is known as a carrier gas. If we are talking about the flue gases which is coming from the power plant, so in this case what we are taking, we have the carrier gas or flue gas. So flue gas is having the N2 and CO2. So N2 we can consider it is here as a carrier gas. So the carrier gas is insoluble or it should have a very low solubility in the solvent. The solvent should be non-volatile or it has a low vapor pressure. That means water and air at low temperature. So this is the first thing. The carrier gas should be insoluble. The solvent is non-volatile and the system is isothermal. So that means the effect of a heat of solution or reaction are low or there is a cooling or heating system in the column. And then moving on, the system is isobaric. So a process occurring at constant pressure, we have to take it, and the concentration of the solid is low, say less than 10%. This is limit for your, if we are going to use the Henry law. So this is the some assumption we require to take it when we are doing the calculation for absorption and stripping. So this separation of a component from a gaseous mixture can be achieved in a various way. So for example, the fractionation of a oxygen and nitrogen from an air stream can carried out by distillation at the low temperature. So this requires a refrigeration cycle, but it is an economically sustainable process anyway. So if we are taking this another way, so in other cases, when it is desired to separate only one or some component, it is not possible to recover the component of interest by condensation because the temperature required would be low. And a thermal separation process would not be economically convenient. So we have to move towards the alternative option in a non-thermal separation process, and that we call that absorption. So here the problem, there is a requirement of a separation of a component from a gaseous mixture, and that can be achieved by the different way. So we have reached to the point when we are talking about the absorption. So in absorption, what we are doing, a second phase is added. So that second phase is what? The second phase is nothing but the solvent is added to the starting gas mixture, which is the liquid phase, and we call that solvent. So this liquid solvent is chosen to maximize its affinity with respect to one. So if we are having the more than one component which is getting entered into the tower, so one component should have a more affinity towards the solvent. So this liquid solvent is chosen to maximize its affinity with respect to one component of the gas phase, that to be separated from the rest of the gas or vapor. So this is another important thing. So the separation by absorption is obtained by suitably contacting the gas stream with liquid solvent. So with this operation, some component can be transferred from gaseous to liquid phase in a selective way. So the aim of the absorption process we have to recover the valuable component by condensing them in the solvent. That's the one. To purify a gas stream by separating unwanted heavier component, and to achieve both first and the second call. So the minimum number of a component in absorption process is 3. So the component to be recovered by direct condensation in the liquid, and the one component in the gas phase which is not condensed, and the solvent which is heavy enough not to be significantly present in the gas phase. So this should be the minimum 3 component we required. So if you do have the gas mixture, we can understand this with the example. We do have a gas mixture, so flue gases we are taking, we do have a CO2, the component which we require to be removed. So one CO2, then the other mixture which it will be present in the flue gas, then the solvent, and then this the one N2. So this is the we require. So talking about the absorption equilibrium curve in a 3 component system with 2 coexisting phases, this 3 isofugacity condition can be written to calculate the thermodynamic equilibrium. So this is the 3 isofugacity condition is written. So F1, F2, F3. So F1 is a fugacity. So F1V is equal to F1L. F2V equal to F2L. So this is the equation when we are talking about the 3 component system with 2 coexisting phases. So with 1 we indicate the vapor component not subject to condensation, and with 3 the solvent which is assumed not to be evaporate. So take that with the example. So with 1 we indicate the vapor component not subject to condensation. So we do have a N2 plus CO2. So N2 is the 1, or CO2 we want to be get it separated. Then the 3 is the amine we can take, or any other solvent which we are taking it. So therefore component 2 is the only one distributed between the 2 coexisting phases. So component 2 is what? In our case it is a CO2. So we are talking about the component 2 is the only one distributed between the 2 coexisting phases, for which this isofugacity condition has a practical application. So accordingly component 1 and 3 are referred as a inert component here. So inert gas and inert liquid we can name that correspondingly. So if the pressure is relatively low, then gamma phi approach can be used to express the equilibrium condition for component 2. So what is this one? Fugacity from the Henry law. So vapor phase fugacity we can represent using this equation, and liquid phase fugacity we can represent using this equation, where we do have a F1V is equal to P yi phi, and then you have the vapor phase. And similarly for the liquid phase we are using this L equal to FIL ID gamma L. And how we are representing this FIL ID? It is a function of your pressure temperature condition at your Xi. So since pure liquid does not exist, we can take Ri such a way it is a limiting FIL by Xi, and then we do introduce the Henry's constant. And how we do have the Henry's constant? FIL with respect to fugacity we are doing it Xi, Yi, Hi, and then as it Xi limits to 0, that means very low concentration, what we have at the low pressure we do reach to this expression Pyi is equal to Xi Hi, and Py2 is equal to X2 H2. So Henry law is used to determine the amount of a supercritical component or light gas in the liquid phase. So only used with ideal and activity coefficient model. So this is your activity coefficient here, gamma I. This is your activity coefficient. So HI is calculated from temperature dependent Henry's constant for each solute solvent pair. So now moving on, H2 for the component 2 we are writing. So this was written, we have proceeded with started with this one. Now we are generalizing this for the component 2. So H2 is the Henry's constant for component 2. How it would be? H2 is equal to limit in x2 tends to 0, so it will be F2 by x2. So this is for the very dilute concentration when we are taking x2 tends to 0. So note that if the component is condensable at the absorption temperature and pressure, this Henry's constant depends on infinite dilute activity coefficient. And how we are going to write that? Remember the expression of a liquid F at low pressure. So what we had the liquid F at low pressure. So we were taking with respect to the pressure 1, so liquid at for the low pressure. So remember we do have here F2 is equal to P2 0 x2 activity coefficient. So how we can write that? This one here x2, it's a very low, so how we will be writing? H2 is equal to P2 0 and then activity coefficient P2. So under the assumption that liquid solution is diluted, because what the dilution we are taking? X2 less than 10%. So when you do have the gas stream which is coming from the power plant and the concentration of your CO2 is very less, then we can go ahead with this application of this equation. So this equilibrium condition for component 2, how we are writing? Y2 is equal to M2x2 with M2 is H2 by P. So P is the total pressure and H2 is the Henry's constant. So which represent a straight line if absorption is carried out at the constant temperature and pressure condition. So this Henry's law constant, talking about the Henry's law constant, absorption data is typically available in the form of solute mole fraction, and that is a yi versus xi, or in terms of the Henry's constant. So Henry's law in terms of a mole fraction of a solute and the total pressure, how we can write this Henry's constant? So y is equal to hi p total xi. So this higher h, the lower the solubility. That means with you have to take pressure and your y constant. So this the higher H, lower the solubility X. So Henry's law is valid at low concentration of a solute I, and that is approximately, we have to take it, this concentration less than 10%. So this is the one data, Henry's law constant H for CO2, CO and H2S in water, and H is in atmosphere per mole fraction. So this is along with different temperature 0 to 100 degrees centigrade. What would be the value of the Henry's law? It is represented for CO2, CO and H2S. So this is the one what we are taking, representing the Henry's law with in regard of your mole fraction. So yi will be hi by p total xi. So yi and xi is the mole fraction of the gas and liquid phase correspondingly. Hi is the Henry's law constant and p tot is the p total. So now we will be discussing absorption for the different cases. So different approximation are available for absorption calculation. So in terms of the one height equivalent of a theoretical plate, so that we will be calling HETP. And the second, dilute absorption with operating line constant. So this is the second case. So this dilute absorption with operating line constant, so both your operating line that we represent with OL and equilibrium line are linear and it is a parallel. Then both equilibrium line and operating line are linear but are not parallel. So this is the second case. So here we are discussing, we do have the two scenario. So the first one, dilute absorption with operating line constant. So you will have the parallel line and then you will have the linear line, they will not be the parallel. So general case with operating line not linear in terms of a liquid and vapor, material balance are written in terms of your inert gas and liquid solute. in terms of height of a transfer unit. So height of a transfer unit, how we will be writing HTU, and that is another one, number of a transfer unit. So here we do have the first scenario in terms of a height equivalent to a theoretical plate, then dilute absorption with your operating line constant, then in terms of a height of a transfer unit and number of a transfer unit. So in this scenario, general case with operating line not linear in terms of a liquid and vapor. So the first material balance are written in terms of a inert line and solid. So NTU is the number of a transfer unit, it is a dimensionless. HTU is the height of a transfer unit, is a dimension of length, and the number of a transfer unit NTU required is measure of the affinity of the difficulty of the separation. So the number of a transfer unit required is a measure of difficulty of the separation. So two things. First thing, in terms of a height equivalent of a theoretical plate, under that this scenario was discussed, and the other second scenario in terms of a height of a transfer unit or number of a transfer unit. Now we do have a McCabe-Thiele solution. So for dilute absorption, the McCabe-Thiele diagram is useful when operating line is straight. So operating line is straight in the case of the dilute absorption. So this requires that liquid flow rate and vapor flow rate is constant. So whenever we are using the McCabe-Thiele diagram and we have the operating line straight, so this will be only possible when we are taking the liquid flow rate and vapor flow rate constant along the your tower on the different plates. So further assumption what we are taking, the heat of absorption in this case is negligible and operation is isothermal. So these two assumptions will guarantee the satisfaction of the energy balances. So when the gas and liquid stream are both fairly dilute, the assumption will probably be satisfied. So if the solute mole fraction in the feed is very low, then transferring most or even all of the solute to the liquid will have a very little effect on the overall vapor flow rate or on the overall liquid flow rate. So the condition it required to be this solute concentration should be very less, and it is we are considering less than 10%. For dilute absorption, so this is the diagram. So this is the section which we are doing the material balance for that. So what we can see it here, we do have an inlet solvent and then we do have the treated gas. So inlet solvent S and then treated gas V. Then we do have a here, when we do consider this whole tower, V is the inlet gas and S is the solvent which is coming out from the plate N. So this is N is what it is showing the plate location N. So this is the nth plate. So from the nth plate what is coming? Sn is coming, and what is the concentration here? We have taken mole fraction Xn. And on plate N what is entering? Vapor V, and that mole fraction it was considered here by N plus 1 because it is getting enter from this below plate, that is the N plus 1. Now this section, this material balance was done. So let's see. For dilute absorption, we can assume that liquid and vapor are both constant and the operating line on the McCabe-Thiele diagram will be a straight line. So using the mass balance envelope around the top of the absorption column shown in the figure. So at top of the column mass balance was done. We can write the solute mass balance for constant, liquid and vapor. So how the solid mass balance around will be written? You have the constant liquid flow rate and vapor flow. On each tray it is going to be constant. So V1 is equal to V2 is equal to V3 is equal to V. That is a constant we have to take. Similarly here we can take L1 is equal to L2 is equal to L3 is equal to L constant. So this V and L is constant in this case. So using the mass balance envelope around the top of the absorption column, we can write the solute mass balance for constant, liquid and vapor, because this constant, liquid and vapor we are taking on each tray. So how it would be? It is getting enter from this one. So entry is to this vapor and then liquid. So what we can take it here? So at the top X0 but liquid flow rate L. So Y I plus 1 V X0 L, and what is coming out? This is the V, this is the top, we are getting y1, and from the bottom what you are getting x, y and l. So this is the one, we have to take this out. So y component we are considering, and then we are considering this y1. So this is the one, we do have it. So what we are going to do further, we are going to solve for this, the one y1 plus 1, we can obtain the equation for Machiavelli operating line. So this is the equation, we do have it here. So here we are taking y1, and here we are taking xy, then we do have the x0, then we do have the yi plus 1. So this is the one, and we obtained this operating line equation. So now this calculation part for the particular numerical we will be continuing in the next class. So in the today's discussion we were discussing about the absorption tower design, and we have started with the absorption and stripping. Then what we have, we do have the material balance operating line, then we require to calculate the number of stages. So material balance, overall balance, how we are taking, G is the gas flow rate and L is the liquid mass flow rate. So G, Y1 minus Y2. So Y1, Y2 is the mole fraction at inlet and outlet, and X2, X1 is the mole fraction at outlet and inlet. So this is the material balance, we do have it, and this is tell us how much solid is absorbed. Then we do have the equilibrium relationship where Y star is equal to mx we do have, and Y star is the equilibrium gas concentration, and m is nothing but the equilibrium constant or Henry's law slope. Then we do have the here operating line. So operating line equation, this L by G is nothing but the slope, and then this line is used in straight tower calculation. So this is all for today, and proceeding with, we will be solving the numerical and incorporate this operating line and equilibrium line. See you in the next class. Thank you.